Hi, everyone, and welcome to Presently Aquí with Claudia. I am Claudia, your guest. I'm your host. It's early for me today. And Presently Aquí is a community of healers from around the world that come together to share their amazing stories of self-discovery and self-healing in hopes to empower and inspire the community around the world as well to start their journey to self-love. And as always, I have the most amazing guest today, Georgina Halabi. Good morning. How are you? Well, good morning for me. Good afternoon or evening for you.
It's a good afternoon from here in the UK.
Beautiful, beautiful. So I'm going to introduce her, and she's going to start us with a meditation. So Georgina Halabi is a professional certified coach with over 25 years of senior roles within business and marketing, and a lifetime of experience in meditation and self-discovery. It has always been essential for her to balance two fundamental needs, outer success and inner peace. Today, Georgina helps highly motivated, self-aware professionals to achieve peak performance and well-being, not one at the expense of the other, which is very important. Using a unique blend of whole brain coaching that incorporates neuroscience, positive intelligence, NLP, and visualization techniques, Georgina works to resolve and align conflicting internal tensions that hinder personal and professional growth, creating the space to focus talent and energy everywhere and most counts.
Yeah, it's quite a mouthful, isn't it?
Beautiful. What is NLP actually?
NLP stands for Neuro Linguistic Programming. It's the love child of a computer programmer and a linguistics expert, but really essentially it's the art and science of excellence. And so we model excellent behavior based on us and our
Right.
best self, or
Right.
based on people who are achieving spectacular performance. So they
Oh,
use NLP a lot in terms of, sports. People who want to become the best in their sports, they visualize shooting that hoop, getting it right
right.
every single time.
Right.
That's a classic example of NLP.
Thank you for that. And when you're ready, if you can lead us into meditation.
Okay, perfect. So I'd like to invite you all to just sit straight. Make sure you've got a straight spine, your feet are flat on the ground, and take a couple of deep breaths. Noticing your abdomen expand on the increase and slowly deflate on the out breath. On the in breath, I meant to say, not on the increase. So just take a moment to really appreciate this time and this space that you've given yourself for your happiness and your well-being. To anchor into your inner wisdom and establish presence. And slowly we're going to withdraw our senses, noticing first of all what we can hear in the far distance. And what you can hear in the near distance. Can you hear your breath? Now I want you to notice your sense of smell. What can you smell? Does this change more on the in-breath or the out-breath? Now what about your sense of taste? What can you taste right now? And if you become sensitive to the various parts of your tongue and their various taste capacities, can you taste different things? The front of your tongue, the back of your tongue, the sides. Get curious and explore. How does your sense of smell influence your taste on your in and your out breath? And now let's move to tactile sensations. I want you to notice the different parts of your body that are coming into contact with either itself or with your chair or the floor. Can you feel your hair on the back of your scalp? What about the contact of your teeth, teeth to teeth, or lips to lips? What about your eyelids joining? Now take a moment to feel into your feet, noticing the solidity of the floor underneath you, allowing yourself to feel grounded. Feeling grounded and relaxed and present. We take 3 more breaths, setting our intention for the day. And whenever you're ready, just open your eyes.
Amazing. Amazing. Thank you, Georgina, for that very much.
It's my pleasure.
Yeah, even though I'm fresh from bed, there's nothing like meditation. It's remarkable because I don't do it in the mornings. I do it after work. And you just showed me how nice it is in the morning. So I appreciate that.
I do it every single morning, and I've rechanged my whole schedule just so I can get that time in the morning.
You've just changed my life. Now it's gonna happen for me. I'm gonna be like, I have to get up because I need to meditate right after waking up. Because, wow, just a total different experience. Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah, it sets the template for mindfulness throughout the day.
It does.
It's really good, yeah.
It really does. And I love how you set your intention for the day, right? Just,
Yeah.
what is that? Another one I did love was the eyelids, right? We don't think about the
Yeah.
eyelids coming into contact. What does that feel like? I love that. That was remarkable. So now that we're ready to start this amazing conversation, beautiful Georgina, what are some challenges that you face on your path to self-discovery? I know you've been on this journey for quite some time. So, early on in your career, in your life, how did that transpire?
Well, it started when I was about 16 years old, and in England we had to do religious education as part of our exams, and I learnt about meditation, and I thought, oh, I'm going to try, I'll give that a go. So I did the one where you call attention to your right foot, then your left foot. You basically numb your whole body, and then in that moment I had an out-of-body experience. Whoops, up I went. And it was pretty scary. I didn't, I didn't know what was out there. I got back in my body. But I've always had access to, I guess, highly intuitive stuff. I've never had a path that has been pointed out to me or a teacher.
Right.
It's all gone in through meditation. So I meditate and it just reveals itself.
Right.
Or I follow my instinct or my intuition, and then that grows.
Right.
So my journey has been pretty much smooth, almost like built in from a very young age. My challenge probably didn't really hit me till I was about 28 years old, and it was pretty seismic for me.
Right.
So a lady that I worked with was training as a hypnotherapist, and she wanted volunteers. So I offered to be hypnotized for her.
Yeah.
And we did a past life regression.
Uh-huh.
And she hadn't at that stage got enough training to learn how to integrate what happened.
Right.
And what I saw and what I experienced during this past life regression was deeply traumatic. Basically, all my family had been ripped away from me.
Right.
Couldn't find them. I had a feeling that they had been taken away and sold as slaves. This is somewhere in South America, I think. And I just felt this tunnel of rage just come out from my solar plexus. I mean, I'm aware, I'm sitting there conscious, at the space above our office, and this channel of energy is just pummeling out my solar plexus. And in this past life, I'm absolutely furious. I want to go and destroy everyone and everything. I didn't, because there was a small child who was found, who I had to look after, but there wasn't a day in my life that I wasn't bitter.
Right.
But essentially what happened was it terrified me. When I came back to, it terrified me that I had such destructive rage. And it shut me down on two fronts: the fear of anger and expressing my emotions in that way, having to contain them. And then the second one was a fear of my power or any gifts that I had. And that's when, normally I would find things so easy, intuitively easy, instinctively easy. I wasn't able to access in the same way that I could.
Right.
So this coincided with when we moved from the UK to Singapore, and I thought for the longest time it was just the energy in Singapore. It wasn't. It was the energy in me and all of that fear.
Right.
And it took maybe 10 years for me to sort of start dismantling it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And in that time, I started to try and access things through my brain logically rather than intuitively. So I went and I studied Buddhism for 4 years, which is really the sharp sword of logic. This is right, this is right, this is right, this is wrong, this is, logic to whittle away possibility.
Right.
Still meditation based.
Right.
But in some ways, it was very... It could be very dry compared to my previous experience, which was so much more emotive or...
Right.
physical,
Yes.
if you see what I mean.
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. That's something. 10 years though? I'm
At
sorry.
least.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sorry that she didn't have the integration aspect, and I'm really happy you're bringing this up for the listener who does go out and seek people out, either as a hypnotherapist or past life regressionist, to make sure that they offer that, because then this is what's the side effect. And it's oh man, it's so important. I'm really I didn't anticipate any of this, but this is so important, so important, because it can be felt as it's now, right? It can be, and you're feeling it. You're just like, I can't remove myself from that experience in this life. And now you're traversing for 10 years how do I make this life come back to me, versus like now I'm living two lives. Now I'm holding the emotion, right? The emotive that you said from that past life into this life, and because it was so deeply traumatizing, I cannot imagine. How did Buddhism help you in any way, if any, kind of integrate? And because I know that's also part of detachment in Buddhism, but did it help any, if at all?
I don't think Buddhism has helped with me, the journey towards oneness. I mean, I think it's helped me in so many different ways. It's to me, I kind of see it as different fingers pointing at the same moon, right?
Yes.
It's all the same thing, but it was less intuitive. It felt like, having to go through the steps. But they're both compatible in that, I went from a space of oneness, feeling oneness that I've always felt, and trusting in myself, trusting in the universe, to suddenly feeling very, very fragmented. And that's influenced what, my career is all around now. It's about helping people towards oneness, but Buddhism is compatible with that, because it's about unification. It's about unification of your mind, unification of your senses, but it feels a lot more disciplined and controlled in order to get to a place that I felt I was already at when I was 20.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
But flowing, naturally flowing.
Right, right. What did you find for yourself to help you come back to that oneness after being fragmented from the hypnotherapist?
Yeah. Well, the first thing was acknowledging it, and I had a massive fear. A fear that if I go back into the spiritual life, it would involve suffering.
Mm.
And that was just a
Yes.
belief.
Right.
And I think I did as much as I could cognitively. I went back and instinctively did things like I went and talked to this past life me. I understood that she had moved on. I did a lot of healing work, but then
Right.
I discovered quite a few years ago there's a energy work called NSA, Network Spinal. And it's kind of similar to, I guess, internal family systems or other modalities that use your nervous system to integrate energies or blocked energies that are stuck within you and work them through by experiencing them. Now, you don't experience them with any of the stories.
No.
You just experience them directly as the sensations, which is also very compatible with what we do in Buddhist meditations. It's like you experience the emotions without the narrative, without the indulgence, without repressing.
Right.
It's like love your shadow side, but with this more energetic work that we were doing, it was feeling those come through my body in waves of just 1 minute bawling my eyes out, or the next minute sort of like growling with anger, and feeling as if I was guided through that process by somebody who is trained to do that. And I think now I don't have that fear in my body. And I really needed to go at it from the mind and the body, because they're not one.
Right.
As yet, it's an ongoing process to connect them, right?
Right, right. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Because that is the society we live in. We're having such a disconnect with the mind and the body. And for us, trying to go into the path of self-discovery and figuring out, oh, wait, the mind is the tool, not the master. The heart is the master. Now, how do I leave from this space, use this as the tool? And it's a whole reprogramming, sort of say, right? And it takes time, because we've been living so fragmented from up and down for so long that it does take a moment. Thank you for sharing this journey. I'm still like, wow, very, very important. So as we're going through your journey here, and you had this session, and you were able to come back and heal and come back to yourself, sort of say, where did you, or maybe perhaps in that aspect, I guess you were studying, also going to school and working as well, where did the shift in you lead you to kind of want to start? I know that kind of is part of the self-healing and the self-discovery. Where did you want to help others? Like, where did that shift in you, or what other modalities did you study that helped you come into that space?
Oh, okay. So from the age of 20, I was reading eyes. So reading eyes, you can see into people's souls, essentially. It's a depth of connection that you can't get through, not even through coaching or anything. You can just see everything unspoken.
Yes.
And so I'm immensely privileged to have been able to help people in that way. So reveal parts of themselves that often they never speak to about other people, and first of all, to show that you love them and you appreciate them for whatever sides they have.
Right.
So there's a certain level of cathartic energy within that. I lost the ability to read eyes completely when I got bounced out. It's back again. It's back again.
Okay.
But yeah, that was the first thing to go. And so when I was in Singapore, my life went very much into, the logical side. It's a very commercial place. I was working, there was less about helping others. It was more about raising a family. I've always, I think helped others as a part of who I am, my nature, but it was never my career. And I've always sort of been a life guide in a way to a lot of different people, but nothing formal. And so maybe about 5 years ago, I was working in a loyalty marketing company in Singapore. And it was literally like I had no, it wasn't literally like an out of body experience because I've had those. It wasn't like that, but it was
Right.
literally where I stepped back and I went, what am I doing?
Right.
No, I'm not doing anything that's of any importance to the
Yeah.
world.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
life is too short to love what you're
Yes.
doing and not to make a difference. And within a week, I'd enrolled into coaching school. A friend of mine, I met up with a friend of mine for coffee. She was a coach. She told me all about it. And I realized it's something I've been doing all of my life,
Yeah. Yeah.
informally. And I
Right.
could get paid for doing it. I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing. So I went to coaching school and I did all the training while working part-time. I kind of scaled it back. And then as soon as COVID hit, I'd almost finished my classes. I just said to my company, I'm not gonna do this anymore. I'll
Right.
coach you guys if you want. And they went, all right. So I
Oh,
started coaching the company. I started taking on new clients, and I've never looked backwards. So now I just help people full time.
oh
It's
my God.
amazing.
That is amazing. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. Yeah, yeah, how that comes. I like how you even set the tone in the beginning of the conversation. Like it just, your life kind of led you how it's supposed to, even though you had a traumatizing moment coming back into a past life, but you saw the arc of what it was trying to do to lead
Yeah.
you here. That's beautiful. And then to be able to, how did you call it? I apologize. Reading,
Reading life.
reading eyes. Yeah, I never heard of it being said in that way. I love
I don't
that.
know if it's a thing. It's just something that I do. I look into their, so it would be your right eye and my left eye, and then it's an intuitive, just words come or pictures come, and I just
Wow.
talk it.
Interesting, because for me, it's I guess more claircognizant,
Yeah.
clairsentient. Where
Yeah.
once you enter my field, I can sense the things that you don't show people, right? Basically, we let me know if this is true for you. I see their full self, which is also part of their darkness, and it's a kind of like because I see their full selves, I see how beautiful they are, and I can also sense where they're not meeting themselves because I see
Yep.
all of themselves, right? And then I do see. Sometimes I do see like how they live. Like I can tell like their habits when they're home. It's really strange. I'm like, oh, I can see their home and the way they maneuver their lives, and sometimes immediately I can sense also why they hide aspects of themselves. Like, oh, I see, like I can see the trauma. I don't know specifically in detail, but I can see what, you know, the behavior patterning of certain traumas that lead you to do, you know, either you're shy or you're insecure and you don't realize it by certain things in the way you act, right? Um, how does that for you? How does that help you now that you've gotten it back? How does that help you maneuver your personal day-to-day life?
That's a good question. I think a lot of what I do instinctively. So I don't do it. When I do an eye reading, I normally ask for permission and then I will go in and I will channel. And, you know, sometimes it is a seeing, sometimes it's a knowing, but it's always with permission.
Right.
And what's interesting is doing it on Zoom, because all my clients are all over the world. On Zoom, it's not necessarily eye to eye, because I say, look in this eye, and they might look down, or they might look
Right.
at the one where the camera is. So, you know,
Right.
it's different sense faculties, but I start with an emotion, and then it all floods.
Right.
So in the day-to-day, I think I just use it naturally as I'm following my instinct. But if I'm being completely honest, I am not following my gift as much as I should, and that's been one of the things that I want to focus on this year, which is owning my gift. And I will be the first person to say I've been very frightened about bearing that part of myself, because a lot of
Yes.
my clients are very rational, very logical. They don't have space for the woo-woo. But
Right.
when I start them on that self-connection
Right.
path, which is done through meditation or mindfulness, then spirituality just opens up to them. That trust opens up to them. And it was a realization that I had. I went and I did a shamanic healing session that you recommended, Lorna.
Oh yeah,
So
you did. You.
did. So,
Oh
wow,
my God.
we. but what really astonished me, I mean, there was so much that came out of that, but the modalities that she was using was stuff that I've been using on myself and on my own clients all these years. So there I was thinking, "Ooh, all of that stuff is very esoteric, but what I'm doing isn't." And I realized, for crying out loud, everything that I've been working with my clients on has been intensely spiritual.
Yes.
And it's been my own shame and fear that's clouded that. It's just putting labels on and assumptions on how people are. But even just the idea of, coming in and telling you this story about myself gives me sweaty palms. And
I have chills, and I'm holding back tears because I feel you. I feel you. Holy cow.
My clients might hear this and go, "Oh, is this George?" Although they probably won't. They'll probably go, "This is perfectly George,"
Oh my gosh.
All my friends back home, they know I read, I'm commercial and spiritual. To me, I've always needed both.
Yes.
And I think the problem is trying to sort of hide one aspect of myself rather than living both of them. It does not feel an integrity with what I'm the message I'm trying to put across.
100%.
So this is part of my own journey towards oneness, is calling myself out.
Yes, we have to hold accountability for ourselves. Absolutely. I have a stick. I have a bunch of Post-it notes here. How do I take accountability for the life I want to create? Right? And also, I talk about mindfulness as the gateway drug to spirituality.
Oh, it totally is.
Because what it is, if this is true for you, because it's a perspective in how we see the word spirituality and why we disconnect it from our practice, right? And it's really the relationship with your light. And that light is what helps you help others. And so you can't, because then you'll be back to being fragmented again, right? When you're separating. And I want to just, a little side note to the listener, when I met with Georgina the first time, she was wanting to make sure that she was able to bring this aspect of herself, because most of the world is in the mind, right? And not living fully and wholly. And I told her, I'm like, "Girl, you could talk about aliens, you could talk about past lives, I don't care, just bring it, because I want your most authentic self to come forth, so it feels at home and safe." So I want to hear about this, about Lorna. How is she? Like, oh my gosh, I can't believe she is. No, go, please.
She's magical. So I definitely want to go and do more work with her. I booked in a 45-minute session, and it was an eyes closed internal process. And at one point I thought, "Oh wow, she really knows how to hold the silence. This is amazing," because I was just working it through, calling it out, And then I opened my eyes when, I thought it was the right time, and I noticed she was talking, but there was no sound coming out. So she'd been on mute the whole time. We had a good laugh about that, and she said, "Yeah, I was wondering why you were just going on, but I got what I needed." But then, we were talking about deep diving into that part of me that is frightened of showing that part of myself. So she gave me an extra half hour, and we did a past life regression.
Yes.
And that was like just what I needed. There was so much. I think, somebody once told me that my role in this life is to master fame, power, and those two things, fame and power. And I have so much fear around both.
Yes.
And really understanding that they are just empty. How I can use both for good. But the session with Lorna, we went straight into power, and how I was in my past life, I was a real sort of treacherous guy. But just the idea that he was begging for forgiveness, and when she was, "You don't need forgiveness. This was a contract that he had with you to be that person," and that really opened up so much, because it was like I'd forgotten that. I'd forgotten that. I knew it, but I'd forgotten it, and I was like, "That's just what I need." And now I feel I'm doing a lot more work on shadow acceptance.
Yes.
And I think that's just what I needed to remove that fear of consequence. It was really just, it's all the same path.
Yeah.
It's all the same path.
Yeah. Wow. I am filled with so much joy and happiness that the both of you came together. And I'm not even in London or the UK, and I'm able to, it just, for me, because this podcast is not wildly popular, obviously, because of the content, I understand, but to be able to bring two sisters together that I did not anticipate, and that you took the steps towards, I think I've completed my mission.
I want to plug Lorna Wilson, amazing shamanic healer and neurologist or neuroscientist. I just felt
Yes.
straight away comfortable in her hands. Yeah.
She has yeah, like you felt her power immediately.
Yeah.
It's like you're embraced by a mother energy. That's how I felt. She gave me a 5-minute one just because I had mentioned a dream that I had. Oh no, a past life regression that came to life. I was living it in this reality for 5-10 seconds. I was like, yeah. So she helped me traverse that, and it was so easy for her to just put me there in 5 minutes. I was like, oh, really, really just.
Do you know, I've said before to people, have you ever, halfway through a meditation, become aware of where your mind is at and you're having a fully embodied experience as somebody else? And it's like really deeply emotive. And I remember one time I became aware and I daydreamed into this person experiencing it, watching an execution of somebody I loved in the desert. And everyone's like, no, I've never done that. I've never sort of come to and been somebody else. And I've just thought maybe that was a past life memory.
Yeah.
Not necessarily the imagination. Who knows?
Yes.
Interesting.
Yes. Mine was in ancient Egypt, and I had just finished showering in New York when I lived in New York, and I just left my bathroom to walk towards my room, and I was in the hallways of some temple, there was like the pyres hanging on the walls, and then I went away, and I never knew about past life regressions. I wasn't seeking it or looking for it or thinking about it, and it just happened. And I want to say this is maybe 8 years ago, and I interviewed Lorna 2 years ago.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So that stayed with me because I tried to go back into it, and I felt that there was a fear there somehow. So what it was for me is that that time there was something that had come to destroy our town, our village, and we were all running and in fear of this evil. And she helped me conquer that fear. And so, and then I was able to release that past life. And it never came back in that fearful way, right? That we carry, right? We don't know why we're afraid of. And that was keeping me from my darkness, from my shadow self.
Yeah. It's interesting that you say that because sometimes our fears do stop us. We think our fears are our shadow self.
Yes.
I like that how you frame it. It stops us from looking with happiness at our shadows or acceptance.
Yes. Correct. And I didn't know, right? I wasn't aware. So I'm happy that this is all coming out because I'm sure there's someone listening out there that had certain experiences in this way where we think that the fear is our shadow self, but it's not. It's the mind just protecting us from looking at something that it thinks it's scary, but it isn't because it's a part of us, and we can't be scary. We have to fully love all of it. It's all encompassing and all embracing. Otherwise, we'll walk the land in fragmentation, which most people are.
Well, even the light side of us have aspects of darkness as well.
Yeah.
I mean, we went to drop our oldest daughter today to do like a hiking expedition with school, and it was nearby these Neolithic stones, 5,000 years old.
Wow.
5,000 years old. So I thought, oh, okay, let's stop and do a wee meditation there. That would be lovely. So we sat down in the middle of the field and we meditated. And one of the things that came across really, really clearly for that was just how we judge darkness, we judge light, really not realizing that there can be aspects of both in everything that we do.
Yes.
So the first thing that I was thinking is, as humans, we're trying to race away from danger towards certainty. We
Yes.
eschew uncertainty and we eschew fear. And really, there was a kite flying ahead, like
Yeah.
an eagle.
Yeah.
And it was like, that sort of safety does not exist in the animal kingdom. We kind of see
Right.
this delusion and trying to sort of create safety around us, which we think is a positive thing. We alienate ourselves. There is evil within that goodness. The evil in that
Yes.
we are no longer connected to the earth around us, that we are not aware of its passing, of well, we are now because it's in the news, but it's like that connection. So even often with the best of intentions, there's darkness. And
Yes.
sometimes even with the darkness, we were watching Star Wars last night, and I turned to Darth Vader and how he
Yes.
turned out of love with his wife. So even
Yes.
in darkness, there is sometimes love. And it's not so cut and dried.
No.
You
No.
can't push part of that into a box.
No.
There is no light without darkness. And that
No.
whole yin yang does kind of make sense. The light within the dark and
Yes.
within the light.
Right, with the circle in each,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's oh my gosh, that's so crazy you brought that up, because last night I had an epiphany, and when it happens, I put on my voice recorder, and I actually brought up to myself about Darth Vader, how
Ah!
yeah, and so I'm just blown away right now. What the realization there was that for him, what is unnoticed is that he thinks he's being dark, but he's really being carried by an emotion of deep anger, that he has no emotional intelligence because he allowed for this emotion to take over his entire life.
Yeah.
And
Attachment. It was all attachment, wasn't it?
right,
Grasping.
yes, grasping at, and then to come back into remorse, to come back into the light at the end.
Yeah, exactly.
And
Exactly.
because I was thinking about darkness in the aspect of and this is just for the audience as a name, right? Just to just go with this story with me, like Lucifer, or Satan. So the entity that embodies darkness, right, isn't in the Darth Vader light. Like, it's not light, and then this happened, and then it became darkness, only to come back to the light. It is darkness, and it just embodies that. But when you embody such darkness, you also understand the light, because you come from both, and so you just are in that space. Like, where I was going with it is that the masculine is light and the feminine is the dark, and somehow I realized that we've
It is the dark. Is
uh-huh
it? Okay, interesting. All right.
right, right, because the womb is the darkness. We
Okay.
come from the womb, we come from the void. We're birthed into light, right? Because
Okay, yeah.
the mother is the birthing the darkness into the light, and the light is the masculine aspect of the yin and the yang. And so I realized that the inversion here lies is that the world is predominantly the masculine is in the dark and the feminine is in the light, and that's why there's an imbalance of the light and the dark, because the woman is oppressed into being her full, wild, chaotic, embracing, all-encompassing, because then she can't be controlled, right? And so the masculine is not in the light, where he's holding the space for the darkness to be itself. And so the woman is usually the masculine, right? A lot of women are in their masculine energy, right?
I am, for
Right,
sure.
for sure. So that's where my epiphany was going, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is what's happening, and that's why we are feeling that fragmentation, that imbalance within ourselves, our own masculine and our own feminine. Even you, as most women, even me too, I was raised by a masculine mother. Doing all of these things are masculine, like creating my own business, doing technical, logical, IT stuff. I have no one here, it's just me.
Yeah.
Right? So, and sometimes it just happens that it has to be, because it is what it is for where we are now, but to bring light forth to it. And I think Star Wars doesn't get the I don't think that Star Wars is in those deep conversations as much as it should, because that's where it's coming from. The idea of the light and the dark in that story is so prominent, and it is the focal point of the movie. It's not about the characters as so much as how it's being used another one that I noticed of the movie was Obi-Wan Kenobi, how he helped, right, Darth Vader. He was trying to help him, be in the light and be part of the Jedi, and then he turned into the dark. But what wasn't talked about or embraced in the movie, that I was a little disappointed, was that he didn't fail, because he still managed to get an amazing student, but in the dark. And he still has a student in the light. So I think that a master that's able to have a student from the light and the dark, I think he completed his mission.
Well, I mean, yes, there's the other aspect of it too, which is light cannot exist without dark. It's impossible. So you wouldn't have the Jedi unless you had the Sith. And so I think that's also when you look at ourselves. We can't have, and all of this, when you look at the bigger picture of it, is there is no light, there is no darkness. There just is. Just dark,
just is.
Right? And so, yeah, maybe he didn't fail. Maybe, because if you look at it, maybe it was meant to turn out exactly as it did, for him to ultimately save. Yes. No, I don't want to spoil the movie series in case nobody's watched it. But yeah.
It's a remarkable. I'm glad. It's funny how this conversation went this way, but it is. I definitely didn't feel like it was a loss. It was definitely a win. But anyhow, coming back to Georgina's life. I want to hear, because you do such remarkable work, and you know what, before I get into that question, I want to know, now that you've noticed that you can't separate the spiritual aspect to what you do and offer to people, which we'll get into, how are you now integrating it in a way that is, you feel for yourself at oneness while you're helping others?
Oh, I don't even have to really think about it. I think I always do feel at one when I'm coaching my client, because when I'm coaching my client, my attention is so completely on them that I am out of my own way. So when you're talking about oneness, it's not the overthinking mind, you're just present. Sometimes I can be aware of little commentaries, thinking, but I'll just sort of park it.
Right.
And then go back to my client. So it's completely deeply present.
Right.
So that oneness is always there. Also what you said about the whole spiritual aspects, I think I've used such a different range of tools within my own life that the first thing that I would do is offer them all to my clients, and those are spiritual. I can dress them up and I can explain them in scientific terms. Here's the neuroscience of how the brain works, or this is how our body absorbs data, and you're able to manifest by selectively creating attention and awareness and certain things. I can take highly spiritual concepts and I can package them in a way so that very rational, hyper-rational business people can go, okay, and then the rest is just taking them into having conversations. So one of the most powerful things that I can do is get them in touch and talking with their higher self. So that's like the inner sage. It's an NLP process. You take them in, they meet their higher self, or even a lot of the inner child work.
Right.
Deeply, deeply powerful. And a lot of the work that I do, once they've got that foundation of awareness, for people who've been with me for longer, it's all about connecting mind and body. So not being frightened of their emotions, allowing the intelligence of their body to sort of tell them what needs rebalancing, starting to connect feelings and thoughts so that they can start to trust themselves. Instead of trying to push things down or run away or fear emotions. And of course this is part of my own journey, isn't it, since I had that traumatic past life regression. But these are now tools that I can say that this has really, really helped me. And so spirituality, it turns out, has just been part and parcel of everything that I've been offering. And all of my clients have just, really, really responded, even and especially the hyper-rational ones.
Right, because let me know if this is true for you, because you're so tapped into yourself that their divine self is craving what you're giving, but they don't know consciously that their heart and soul is like, oh my God, Georgina, yes, I thank you. I'm so glad. My 3D self is just like so up here and not letting me talk, letting my heart talk. Not, can you help us? Can you, right?
I can straight away connect into their higher self. A lot of people well, not a lot of people. I've seen quite a few people who I've coached with or I've met where I'm like, I know you. I know you. You're a really old soul. We're meant to be doing this. But yeah, I think so. I tend to go for to work with a certain type. They tend to be very self-aware, quite driven. They're ready. They're ready. And so it's less of that, thank you, Georgina. It doesn't feel that energy, although there's this incredible, there is an incredible energy between us. There is so much love and support and appreciation, but it's mutual. Yeah. It really is mutual. I'm just like the biggest fan of all of my clients, and I'm not just saying that.
Yeah.
It's just extraordinary getting to see them unpack and slough off all the layers of crap that they put upon themselves.
Right. And do you see a reflection of yourself in your clients, a part of you? Like there's...
Not consciously, no. I've never really thought about it, but it's really they're on the same journey that I've been on, and I can help them, I can help by sharing.
Yeah.
But really as a coach, I don't train them to do anything, although I run mindfulness training, or I'll put them through positive intelligence training. I can sort of talk them through that and coach them. But really as a coach, we ask powerful questions and we allow people to discover within themselves, which is so perfect for me because at the center of me there has always been this wise sage being who I would always go to and go, okay, what needs to happen here? Anything that would happen on the outside would resolve on the inside. So being able to give my clients the tools to do that is just amazing, and then they can do it themselves. It's like, yes, I remember. Yeah, it's that connection, isn't it? I can remember.
Amazing. Would you mind diving a little more into what actually the process of and what your offerings are to the community?
Yeah, so I work with clients on a number of different ways. They either come and they coach with me one-on-one. Right. So we set a time every week or every second week, and we create a coaching agenda that is very specific to them. But it is all about that idea of moving from fragmentation to oneness. It's all about, self-confidence and being able to express themselves and without fear. And I also have a group coaching program. I call it From Survive to Thrive. And it's about overcoming self-doubt and stepping into your full potential. Right. And with all of these, I pull in a range of right brain and left brain disciplines as needed. I've got so many tools. Yeah. So it's really at the disposal of what is needed at the time. And because my life has been so commercial and so spiritual, it's really cool. I had a client who's like, I love the fact that one day I can come in and go, okay, we need to talk about strategy, what I can do in this, this work context. And the next one will be, creating energy and manifesting things. So I love being able to pull in both, but it really depends on the individual and what serves them in the moment. Right. So with my group coaching course, I get to go flat out. I get to pull in like the highly spiritual, the highly pragmatic, it's all about creating awareness and mindfulness as the platform, reframing limiting beliefs, identifying what these limiting beliefs are and giving choice around the decisions that they make. It's about setting their intentions, creating strategies to meet them, and then giving them tools that they can embody. And the group coaching program, you have so many breakdowns and breakthroughs as a group. It's really quite amazing. A lot of that can go into the one-on-one, but it's really depending on what it is that they want to achieve. And then the last way I work with people is, I don't know if you've heard of positive intelligence. They are a huge international movement, and they've worked with C-suite all around the world, athletes, Stanford students. They've worked across 52 countries, and it's really about strengthening the part of your brain that serves you and quietening the part that sabotages you. So all of the stuff that we would do naturally, they've put it in sort of CBT terms or neuroscience terms, and they've distilled it down. So, the different ways that you get in your own way is distilled down into 10 key saboteurs. So you've got the judge, which I love because I, trained in Buddhism, judgment is one of the core roots of suffering, along with ignorance. So you've got the judge, then you've got the avoider, the pleaser, the victim, the controller. You've got these 10 saboteurs.
Yeah.
People, it's completely secular. People can just go, oh, I get that. That's so totally how I sabotage myself. And then they use the vehicle, the body, as a vehicle to sort of switch off that narrative circuitry, in small doses. So 10 deep or 3 deep breaths. Use your sight, taste, sound, hearing, kind of like we did at the beginning, but in 10-second, reps, if you like,
right.
fitness. So these age-old wisdoms, we use yoga to anchor into our body, or going out into nature, or meditation. Here is a really easy platform that in 6 weeks we can rewire your brain. And I love that because it's so resonant with the business community. By the end of it, they're all sages. They're all trusting their voice. And it's just very, very powerful. And it's supported sort of by a global platform. People learn it through an app. I coach on top of it. It's just really, really powerful. So I also offer that. So sometimes my one-on-one clients do that positive intelligence mental fitness boot camp as well. And that really just catapults their results. So those are the 3 ways that I work with people. And some people have worked with me for 3 months and they're complete. Others have just been with me for 3-4 years. And it's really, as long as it's serving you, just keep going.
Right.
It's up to you.
That's beautiful. And as you're talking about this, I can so feel your passion behind what you do. You're just like, and I'm like, wow, that is inspiring. And thank you, because I can feel that. Not to say that I wasn't able to feel my other guests, but you really, you're exuding how much you love what you do.
It's the best job ever. I just get to help people remember themselves all day.
All day. I mean, absolutely. And then, and this is the what you're looking. If you're looking for someone to help guide you within yourself, this is this kind of person that I would highly recommend, because she's allowing you to go into yourself and then do that for yourself. Because sometimes codependency happens in these situations where the person just in their fear of wanting to, the attachment, right? The attachment of wanting to hold on, but they fear that they can't do it on their own, and what would happen if I don't have Georgina in my life? Will I fall apart kind of situation? And it's helping them build that foundation within themselves that they know that they can do. And I love that you do that kind of work.
100%. Yeah, exactly. It's just sharing the tools, really. And I'm always there for them. Still, my old clients, we're all still in touch. And I run, last year I did a thing where any client, every Friday, old clients, I'm here for an hour, come in, have a group coaching, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah, absolutely. Because, the way you're even in this conversation, I can't imagine you while you're coaching someone for 6 weeks. I would love to come back and see how you're doing, and see who the people you've helped throughout time, and see what they're up to. And that's beautiful. That's truly, Georgina. And to know that you and Lorna are on that side of the world, just helping, with your light, it just brings so much joy. Like when I interview people from outside of the United States, and to see other lighthouses, power lighthouses, be out there doing what I'm doing here is just so motivational and so deeply just connected. Like we're so connected, and just seeing how the world wants us to think that we're so divided, but we are just so connected, and we are proof of that. All these people that I've had on my podcast that are international were proof that no matter where we are, we're here to bring the light, and we're doing the work to bring the light in you. So
I feel like earlier this year I made a commitment. I was going to meditate for an hour every single day, and I got to a stage where I was like, I am ready to go so many levels deeper. And I just went, universe, show me how.
Yes.
I didn't have to have the answers. Universe, show me how. And it's like everybody just became available. It's literally, there's such an abundance of, okay, are you ready here? And so that's been really nice. And part of that was this chatting to you a couple of months back, Claudia. You putting me in touch with Lorna. And so the work that you're doing is really, really powerful. But I'm just astonished. I'm just astonished
I
by.
am too. I am, because we're just doing, right, what we love. We're doing what we love and hope that it changes and it helps, right? That's the goal. And we're hoping that it does. Um, and to see it, right? And to really see like, oh no, what I am doing is making a change, is helping others and helping me as well. And as a community, this is working. And it just,
Without doubt. Without
just
doubt.
um, you filled my cup, and to know that you and Lorna and everyone else around the world is actually doing the mission is filled me with so much love right now. So thank
I
you.
can see that. Thank you, Claudia.
Yeah, this is powerful, powerful. Like this is from the power of unconditional love that's coming from all of us, and to be able to connect all of you through the conversation, I'm humbled and just wow, yeah, and so glad to have met you. And um, yeah, so if you're in the UK or in Europe,
UK.
and
Anywhere in the
and
world.
anywhere, if you resonate with what Georgina has said today in our conversation, please feel free to contact her. Her information will be on Spotify, because that's the only place I can put links, and on my website as well. If you end up listening to this and you can't find her contact, reach out to me. As you know, my platform is presently Aki everywhere, and just say, hey, I want to work with Georgina. I'm happy to direct you to her. But this was just Georgina, everything. Thank you. A beautiful way to start my day, my Saturday morning. Um, right now I am speechless, but I wanted to ask you, is there anything that you feel that the listener should hear before I let you go that may they take away?
Um, and this is, of course, stuff that I need to hear when I'm sharing
Mm-hmm.
it as well. That whole idea of fear of being authentic because of the shadow sides or the dark
Mm-hmm.
sides or the consequence and everything, just do it. Stop overthinking things.
Yes.
Just do it.
Just do
Trust
it.
yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's just this idea of when you do, things just naturally open up and hold you, support you. That's been my experience.
Yes.
So,
Yes,
yeah.
definitely. Yes. And it's just, for some of us who may not have all of that strength to just do it, there's a community out here willing to help you to find that and find that inner strength in you to not be afraid anymore, and to dive into your almost authentic self.
Yeah, you can't do it on your own. I couldn't have done it without all of the.
No.
Actually, they've all been women. All of the
Yeah.
women who've come in and supported me, they have all been women. I just worked that out.
Yeah.
Take that, male energy.
Yes. Yes. I happened. I actually called that out when I moved here to Los Angeles. I said I wanted to be around women, the feminine energy more, because I've been so much in the masculine. And that's what's been, And I love that you brought like universe. You're commanding because you are the creator. Command it at your will. Universe, show me. Universe, this. Universe, and it will. It will. It's just standing in your power enough to know. Command it, and it will. It's so, and it shall be. And so,
Yeah.
um, amazing. Anything else you'd like to share before I let you go? Also, where can people find you?
Oh, you can find me on my website, georginahalabi.com. Very, very easy. Also, if you look me up on LinkedIn, I'm in all the usual places,
Yes.
Facebook, LinkedIn. I'm not very big on Instagram, I'm afraid. But yeah,
No.
if you want to come in, if you are interested in coaching, you can book a free call with me, 30-minute chat, or if you're interested in deep diving into, what it is that's where you're stuck, why that is, where you
Right.
want to get to, and what will get you there.
Yes.
Then come and have a deep dive coaching session with me. But I do say only do this if you're really interested in that whole personal discovery
Yes.
session. So yeah,
Yes.
feel free.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Georgina, for your light, your energy, for expanding with me in this space. I met a new sister today, and
Yeah.
it just, again, speechless. And for the listeners out there, thank you so much as well for joining us and expanding the space with us. And again, if you resonate with Georgina, please, please, please do reach out to her. If you're not able to watch the video, so you can sense how amazing this woman is, if you're just listening, take my word for it. You won't regret it. Reach out to her. And again, thank you everyone who's tuned in. Remember that the breath is a secret, and always lead with love. And until next time, thank you.